Hey, and welcome to another video after a long while. I'm gonna get to why I'm not uploading in all the channel updates and everything at the end, so stuck around if you're curious what's up. But I wanted to make this video. I had a thought of making something like this for a while now, and what kind of pushed me of doing it was when Niall did his video. And kind of saw how people reacted to it, sometimes good, but I feel like most of the people are negative towards what he said. I mean, some takes I couldn't back up, but I still don't understand why people were so against what he said. Everybody should be entitled and is entitled to their own opinion, even though if you don't agree with it, you don't need to lash out per se on them. I am kind of anticipating getting backlash from it, but I genuinely couldn't care because that's not, I think, healthy. Not to address some things or speak your mind to it. So yeah, want to first of all start. I'm not gonna be like those people where, oh, Winter Story made me hate Minecraft, or I don't like Minecraft because of Winter Story. No, um, I genuinely like Minecraft and I grew up with the game. To state it firstly, I also love Winter Story. I'm not gonna have picking between each other, between those two games. But people need to, in this community, which is so tight knit, and it's very, can be sometimes harsh, and I feel like people or content creators per se now are very scared to say the other block game, or they don't address Minecraft by its name, which is funny to me because we know Vintage Story only exists because it stemmed from Minecraft. I think either people don't know it or don't realize that that's how we got the game that we love. And I guess people, I don't know. I'm totally against hating about Vintage Story. I'm not gonna glaze it. There's definitely flaws in the game which should be addressed, some mechanics that should be revisited, and definitely things that are not what I think are the best like they are right now. For example, farming. In my opinion, it's very easy. If you set up your farms correctly, after 1 year, you basically have no need of food. So therefore, the survival aspect of the game is kind of, you have everything. You don't need to really care about. You have flags. I know they're gonna change stuff in the 1.22 update, but still, think one of those should be addressed and kind of revisited, in my opinion. The combat system, feel like it's not really rewarding. If you have the best armor and the best weapon made of steel, there's some still enemies that can throw you around like a ragdoll. And there's some things that I personally not necessarily dislike, but I feel like they could be improved upon. One thing that you're gonna see in this video as well, I took two content creators and friends of mine to voice their opinions and how they feel about the game. So stick around to see that. But I wanted to first say that yeah, Vintage Story is an amazing game. But sadly, I sometimes just feel the community can be very separate on things and is very shielding, I think I would say, that you can't say this or like Niall said, um, it's very iffy to say the block game. Like everybody says that. Like just say it's Minecraft. People get very upset when you start to compare those games, even though they are very, very much different. Like someone who was growing up playing Minecraft a lot, that I just naturally evolved to seek something more. So as I was young, I loved to play Minecraft. Me growing up, I always wanted more challenging, something better. So therefore, Minecraft kind of wasn't the game anymore for me. So therefore, when I saw Winter Story for the first time on my YouTube recommended, I completely fell in love with the game. Even though it was a bit overwhelming at the beginning, but the more I got into it, the more I loved it. Even after 800 hours in the game, there's still some mechanics that are just wow. Like I didn't know they're in the game. So please don't take this whole video as like a hate against one or the other. I love both games. and both games have a different place in my heart, respectively. Um, I really love what the dev team is doing, how they are going with the community, but yet still sticking to their vision and what they want for the game. Um, as me, as a fan, as a player, and someone who makes content on the game, I feel from the dev team that they're doing the best they can to please both them and the community. And then there comes a time where I feel like the community just hates, that they just hate on some people, on some stuff they do or the decisions that they make. I feel like the new changes, and the new update on for some not the best. Maybe they hate them, but personally, I think it is good that we're slowly evolving. We shouldn't be that hateful for every little change they do. Um, of course, there are like changes. Personally, I don't like the berry bushes and stuff like that because I feel like there's not much you can actually do with the bushes in general. Like food wise or alcohol wise, there's not much why, besides role playing reasons, why you should engage in those systems. For example, doing alcohol. If the new effect system that was, I believe, postponed to the next version, 1.23, um, that would have the potential to make alcohol and food more of a priority. You can just do pies and you'll be set, right? You all saturation that you need you can put in a pie, and there's not much reason for you to spend so much time into baking or making foods and crux and whatever. And especially there's no reason besides role playing that making alcohol. I feel like if they would add something when they add the system for effects, if you drink vodka or any alcohol in winter, you can get a cold resistance buff or something. If you sleep enough, you can get something out of it. Like the mod Xcale does, adds few effects. If you make certain foods, the quality of the foods are better, so you can get good effects and stuff like that. That's that's it for me as of now. I think you're gonna hear from two interviews that I did, a lot of overlapping. So I'm sorry if you hear me um, repeating myself, but it's something that I wanted to do something different than a casual let's play. And if anybody from the dev team listens, I love what you're doing with the game. I'm fully supporting how your decisions are, but I would like to see some mechanics in the game to be at least revisited and looked upon closer. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. If anything that you don't like or agreed or disagreed in this video, let me know. I anticipate a lot of people disagreeing with me, but that's why I kind of do it, so I connect with the community and maybe let the devs know and just what's up with the game and how some of the players feel about it. Anyhow, I'll catch you later. Bye bye.
What's going on? My name is Korb. I also go by Cozy Cove on TikTok. I create videos on Vintage Story, mainly my single player world centered around building. Um, I've been in the content scene for a little under a year now, but I've been playing Vintage for a bit longer than that. Yeah.
So, I brought you today to me to ask you a couple of questions, which I know most of the people in this community are very iffy about some subjects. And I wanted to get you not just my perspective on some things that are going on, but also yours, because I think it's better to hear from multiple people. And because I saw that Niall also did, I think 2 videos was it, where the backlash, I would say, or the people who were commenting back kind of negative, which I kind of get in some extent, but it is also bad to compare the block game or the other block game, which is crazy to me that we cannot even say the other name, even though if somebody doesn't know, Vintage Story exists just because of Minecraft. So we can say the other word. Don't be scared and put in your title that it's the other block game. But that's not why we came here. I'm gonna ask you 4 questions, and you can elaborate on them however you want. So the
Beautiful.
first question is gonna be how did you get into Vintage Story?
I actually heard about Vintage Story from a friend. He screen shared it in Discord. He was just working on a build, and he showed me the chiseling aspect where you can break down a block, combine blocks however you'd like, and design however you'd like. And that is actually the reason I started playing the game. I saw the amount of creativity that could be put into certain builds, and aspects of your world and world building. And that's what keeps me coming back, honestly.
Would you say, because I know some people would say in the comments that you can do that same in Minecraft. You can mod it everywhere. What is your stance of somebody saying you can mod Minecraft to the extent where Vintage Story is right now compared to the vanilla experience of Vintage Story?
I think honestly that argument falls a bit flat, in my opinion. I mean, you can mod in Vintage Story as well, but I think it comes down to the core experience of Vintage Story. It's not just about building, and chiseling, more specifically, I guess. All of the survival aspects and game progression is a lot more thought out, and you have to think about how you're playing the game. There's a lot of tasks that you have to keep up with, and it's not just about the creative aspect. I mean, true, you could. There's the I think it's called Chisel and Bits in
Mm-hmm.
Minecraft. I think that's the
Yeah.
mod. Um, you can technically do the same thing, but it doesn't fit the vanilla feel of Minecraft. Like chiseling fits the vanilla feel of Vintage Story. It
And
feels like it fits in the game.
yeah, and I would say my personal experience with the chisel and bits, the more you chisel, how Minecraft handles it is not the best. Even though I have a decent PC, and to an extent, when you do it too much, same as Vintage Story, but you need to chisel a lot to achieve any FPS drops compared to using a third-party mod in Minecraft.
100%. Yeah. I don't have much experience with chiseling bits. I think I used it in a mod pack, but
Like
yeah,
everybody.
my first experience with chiseling specifically was in Vintage Story, that's for sure. So I think I am a little bit biased to it.
The next question I have for you: what would you like to be added in Vintage Story? I know there's plenty of things they have on the roadmap, like the effect system, that some of the mods also add, but it's not really in depth. We're not gonna like say whatever's coming out in 1.22 because we already know what's coming.
Yep.
Is there something you would love to see that would fit, or I mean, doesn't really necessarily needs to fit with the Vintage Story game in general? Any systems or anything?
Um, okay, so I do want to start out by saying I like to keep my game as vanilla as I can. I'll maybe use a few cinematic mods to like help with my recording. I use QP chisel tools to help with my efficiency when chiseling and building. But I would actually like to see expansion on the efficiency of chiseling in vanilla. Obviously, you can use QP chisel tools; everybody uses it. But there's certain aspects of that mod and other mods that don't quite fit the vanilla feel. Maybe they feel a little bit too overpowered. So I'd like to see some expansion on the efficiency of chiseling, honestly.
Fair, fair. I feel like QP Chisel is one of the mods where I cannot play a playthrough without. There's some
Exactly.
mods that, if it's for adventuring, if it's for quality of life, I made a few mod showcases before where there's some mods that are, for me at least, necessary. I know people disagreed on that, but everybody can play the game how they feel like it. It's at the end of the day, it's a sandbox. Do you have any opinions of the new update that is coming out that I think you and me and most of the community are eager to play on the full release? Do you have anything that you like about the update?
I think my favorite part is actually the shelves where you can
Mm-hmm.
customize like however you want to place the stuff in there, and the crowbar. I use beams in every single build, and the crowbar is going to help with placing them in chisel blocks.
I saw, yeah.
Um, Those two features are going to be so sick. I've also been playing the release candidate 6 and a little bit of the next one that came out. Um, and they've improved a lot of the base mechanics. Placing beams is almost perfect. I only messed up a few on my most recent build, and it was like I barely had to remove them. So I like that they're paying attention to base mechanics, and they're still improving on the core game and
Mhm.
making it as good as they can.
That's what I feel like, where Minecraft is, and the whole team that has millions and millions upon their hands to improve and actually do what the game or the community wanted. Yet they, I feel like, fall short because I feel like they in their heads they achieve so much as a company where they don't need to really listen to the community. I know the Winter Story dev team is pretty small, and it's not like they need to listen to the community, but they're very engaging and everything. They support the creators, and they,
Yeah.
if something is up or there's any bugs or exploits, it's fixed very fast. I know Niall mentioned the mob grinder with the, what was it, the springs, the hot springs that they are, and people had mixed opinions on that, which I don't really understand. In Minecraft, there's so many exploits that they are so casual nowadays. They just feel like a part of the game. It's
That's
not.
what makes Minecraft fun. I mean,
Yeah.
th- that's why Minecraft. I feel like that's one of the big reasons Minecraft is so huge. Is that a lot of the main things that get people into the game are exploits or like the big farms, like huge
Mhm.
farms or those type of aspects that kind of like mess with the game's how it works and making it work for the players. So I mean,
Yeah, the only like the example I can give on top of my head is the one that you have the ender pearl through the bedrock, which is so old.
yeah, get on the roof. Yeah,
Yeah, it is one of, I would say, one of the oldest ones that I remember that is still in the game, and nothing is done by it. But what I wanted to say when I started this, I really love how the Vintage Story team is getting really and listening to the community. If Minecraft would done it, it would be a much better place. But again, we cannot really compare those two companies. The identities of those two games are very different. And I know
100%.
they don't want to. I remember one topic that was going around 2 years ago. They don't want to add certain animals or certain stuff because like they're endangered in real life and stuff like that. Which, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know if they would add a shark. I don't feel like me killing a shark in game would make me go hunt a shark in real life. I feel like it's really the opposite. I don't feel like I'm gonna go after a shark or a rhino or something.
Dang, I've never heard. That's an interesting
That's what they said.
topic. I've never heard of that. Wow.
They once said, I could be wrong, but I truly remember it also discussing with my friends that they don't want to add certain stuff into the game because either they're endangered or brink of extinction. Funny enough, they added pandas where just recently they are not in danger of being in extinction. So that is just contradiction for every statement they
Yes,
say.
definitely a little. Yeah.
Now we're gonna go to the juicier stuff where the community divides itself, and it's very iffy about anything that, no matter if a casual says or someone who creates content on it. What is something you don't like, maybe even despise, or you just don't really fuck with in Winter Story?
I do want to start by saying there really aren't many aspects of this game that I would consider bad. There's definitely some lackluster experiences. One thing that I would like to see expanded is the combat. I mean, everybody's mentioned it.
Mm.
I feel like they've probably mentioned that they want to expand upon it. Um, really, it feels a little bit lackluster. I mean, there's quite a few mobs. Um, they get the lower you go down into the world, the stronger they get, or in the story locations. Some of them feel a little bit too OP, and there's not much that can be done about it. Um,
I mean,
but
you're pretty. That's. I feel like I can go behind that idea. Some of the enemies I feel like were an afterthought because I think also I'm gonna take what Now said because he made a good point. about the Shiver, he can't tank much. He is fast, and he does a lot of damage depending what tier is it. If it's a
Yep.
Bellhead, you can get, I think, even with good armor, 3 hits and you're gone, or so, 4 maybe. The Blowthorns, basically Minecraft skeletons, because they shoot and they run away. They also can be very OP if you don't have much gear and suddenly you have a heavy storm or something, and you can get just caught in the open. You're dead. There's nothing you can
Yep.
really do. And the little clay turrets that just want to show you their rock collection and they want to throw it on you. They're not so
Yeah, they're
bad.
just a little bit annoying. Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
the storms are also something that I would see a little bit more expanded on, but
for sure. They feel a little bit monotonous and kind of just like I want to skip this. Like in my single player, I turned on sleeping through storms because there's nothing I'm doing during them. I could go out and fight. I don't really gain that much from it. Um, Caving as well. It feels a little bit higher risk than any reward you'll get from down there. I mean, you can cave for ores. That's not the worst idea, but it's so deadly down there. You need the best armor. You need a bunch of weapons. It's hard to even get the caving done.
and then we come when you said bunch of weapons, then there's the thing where there's not much to choose from. You have only a spear and you have the falcons, which
Yeah.
and of course the Forlorn Hope and the Black Heart, but that is if you play multiplayer or you have it locked, you sadly cannot get unless you have the class on. But I mean, that's why when I play, I usually install any weapons mod or any armor mod because I feel like it's really, like you said, lackluster when I go down. For example, if I need saltpeter and I go way down and there's a bunch of blowthorns, shivers, and drifters, and I just die repeatedly if I don't have enough good armor or weapons to deal with them. Even then, if you have a steel falx, I feel like it at least should one hit some of the lower tiers. It still takes like 2-3 hits sometimes, which
Yeah.
if you're getting the best material and the best armor you can get and you still can get thrown around the room like a rag doll, it's not really necessary. It doesn't really matter if you go with a copper plate or with a steel plate.
I would hope to see more weapons come to vanilla. Or maybe, I mean, in 1.22, we're going to be able to upgrade our weapons with the grindstone and doing some differences in the what is it? You can like cover it in clay.
That's the new
I
4G.
forgot what it's called, but yeah, I haven't gotten into that much at all. I'm excited to see that.
Me personally, I only like 5 minutes into, I think, release candidate 2, I tried, but nothing more. For 5 minutes, I just want to have it surprised when I actually play when
Yeah.
it came out. But to go off of that, what you said, is there something that you don't like about the update that is coming out? I know there's many opinions going around where people have mixed opinions of the windmills changes, the berry bush changes. Some people I saw even with the forging, they think the bellows and other the stuff like that is more tedious. But then again, I think about it, what they're trying to do, it's more realistic now, which is good. I just feel like people
Yeah, I
don't
think
want
I
to
like
change.
the direction they're going. Um, and they're just kind of expanding on the processes we already have and um making it a little bit more fun, I guess. I mean, I haven't experienced them on my own yet. They look interesting. Um, I feel like maybe the one change that's rubbing me the wrong, maybe not the wrong way, but the berry bush change is a little. I think that one's been coming for a while. You have to
Mm.
really take care of your berry bushes, and they take a long time to grow. It's not berries aren't going to be as easily attainable anymore, which might be a little hard for early game and such. But we'll see how that one works out.
If I would say to the bear, I don't really mind anything. I know there's gonna be a mod after the release where they revert the berry bushes. I think that's gonna be a thing very fast. I don't really the only thing that could bother me is the berry bushes personally because there's not much gain from doing that besides early game. you don't really have anything to do with them unless you have any mods to cook with, like bread with jam and cooking better, getting health buffs and
Yeah.
whatnot. You and also making alcohol doesn't really do much because you spend
There's
so
not
much
really a
time.
benefit from it. It's
Yeah,
just for fun.
you just get hammered and black out. I mean, that's maybe how you want to spend your winters in a game.
Yeah, and as a solo player, what am I gonna do? Drink alone all night? Like, come on.
Hey,
I already
that's
do that.
oh.
That's a
Of
joke.
course, in Roblox, we only drink in Roblox.
Yeah, in Roblox and Vintage Story.
Sometimes, all the time. Anyhow, um, what would you like to see changed? Meaning, we're not gonna focus on this update because there's a bunch of things that are controversial about it. What is there something that you would like to see being revisited or redone as a mechanic or worked on more that you feel is lacking? I know the one question before was kind of similar, but this is more like what you really truly don't like how the game is playing out right now, or the current mechanic that just bothers you or has nothing. It's there in the game, but adds really nothing.
Yeah, that's a hard one. I mean, specific mechanic, I think this one gets everybody a little bit, is prospecting. I would like to see more on that. It's kind of boring and it takes a long time. I mean, I kind of stick to caving because it's a little bit easier and more fun, I guess. I mean, I was just talking about how caving is high risk, low reward, but there's more action to do than mining a few types of stones and reading the chat.
Yeah,
I would
but
hope to see more from that, hopefully.
I mean, I personally use the one mod that just makes it much easier for me because I have a life that I need to get back on, responsibilities, and I don't want to now have a full map of points where I need to search for a specific tile where something is. So I just might as well add the one mod that it makes much easier for me to locate it much faster because know even with that mod, it doesn't make it so much easier. It just makes it like 50% easier, not like I know where it is right away. I mean, there's so many mechanics where, like, the effect system, I think they postponed. It should have come this update if I'm not mistaken, but I think they put it on 1.23.
Uh,
Effects would be something I think very good. I know X Skills has some if you ever play with that mod. Not a big buff system, but there's some. Like with the
yeah,
alcohol.
I did play with it for a little.
Yeah.
You get the unlearned points, right, from the
Mm-hmm.
alcohol?
You get it
Yeah.
unlearn, and you can. I think when you cook, you can get like mining buffs and lower saturation and stuff like that. But that would be a nice addition if you eating well or you making some kind of better food. Expanding on that, I feel like it would be amazing, and then you would get a reason to make alcohol. Let's say you drink vodka in the winter, you don't shiver as much or you're not that cold anymore. There's so many possibilities. I know they're working on it, but I feel like that's one of the things that the whole food system should be a little bit redone. Because after 1 year in the game, if I have my farms properly set up, I don't need to worry ever again. That's why
Yep.
I personally kind of make myself struggle, so I keep engaging in the farming system, so I don't have just flax everywhere and all that. I know I think 50% flax gain they remove or like they added, so you don't gain as much nowadays. After no nowadays, the new update when it's gonna come out, I heard many people are also not fucking with that idea that you get less from flax, but I mean I don't want to have a full windmill right away and 2 months in a game, so.
Yeah. If you want a long-term world, you got to slow things down a little. But I think the effects and the expansion of food is going to actually be huge for Vintage Story. Because I mean, what is there, like 100,000 different recipes for meals right now? I feel like I remember hearing that. Maybe it's not that many. Maybe it's like
Mm.
10,000. But what's the gain? Maybe you get a little bit of HP when you have all types of food. That's about it. When they add specific effects for types of food, that's going to be huge. It's going to make you want to expand your palate in game and
Hmm.
actually use different food, eat different food, and make different meals.
Yeah, that's what I believe. Also, one of the mods that people hate for any reason, which I don't know why, is the X skills. where there's the chef, or when you cook, there are some points where you can put, and there's a chance of the quality of the food as well. And random,
Interesting.
I believe there's random effects which you gain. Maybe it's not that random, but I always never really looked into how that system works. Did you actually gain something from cooking better? Big on
Yeah.
meal, you can produce 10 servings at once, for example, or even 12 or so, and it makes you do more because actually I just make pies, hella pies, and I don't really care about anything else because having so much, only 4 servings in a crook if I'm inventorying doesn't really bring me anything, because at the end of the day I'm gonna have my full inventory of crooks where I need a space when I'm going adventuring or looting or for whatever. I can have like 16 stack or 16 pies with me, and I'm off better than doing anything
Yep.
else.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with that. No,
Do
100%.
do you have anything that you would like to say to the Vintage Story community, or anything that you would say to the people?
I think we all need to be able to take criticism of the game, and be able to compare it in ways that we can help improve the game, and provide feedback to the amazing devs, that genuinely care and have passion for this game, and they only want to see the best from it. So yeah, I don't have much to say.
Okay, I'm gonna give one final question. What do you hope for Vintage Story to become?
Honestly, I trust in the devs. I think they have the correct vision for the game. They do accept feedback, and we've seen them in the past change features or adjust features, um, depending on how it actually affects the players. But honestly, I don't think Vintage Story is ready to blow up and become a huge game. It's big right now. There's a lot of people playing it, but
I would probably say that Vintage Story, for whatever people say, didn't really um make me hate Minecraft, but it definitely opened my eyes how a game should be handled. It's the best way I can put it. It's not a perfect game, I'm not gonna glaze. There's some flaws that are not game breaking in any means, but there are some things that I would like to be changed, and I know they're gonna be changed because they listen, like you said, to the community and seeing and communicating with us. But I feel like at this stage, how it is right now, it is completely playable. 100%. The $20 or how much it costs is worth it for every cent. I got
100%.
800 or so hours on the game, and I would recommend to everybody who enjoyed Minecraft, is still maybe enjoying Minecraft, but is seeking a little bit of more engagement, a little bit of more challenge to the normal playthrough.
Yeah. I think a lot of people forget that these games have completely separate target audiences.
Mhm.
Vintage Story is not looking to pull all of the young audience from Minecraft to come play. It's just building its own game, and it's a hardcore survival. It's for the patient, the people who want deeper progression, deeper mechanics for the more regular type of things you do in game. So yeah,
I
I
would
mean,
agree. I would agree with that. That's what I feel like most people, when they start comparing those two games, lack to understand that. I'm gonna say like how it is. I don't think kid would be interested in quenching iron or making clay forms, or and therefore they cannot really be compared as to. Vintage Story is more underground as of now. It has lots to grow, and yeah, it's a bright future that I see in Vintage Story, and I hope the
excited to
community,
see more content.
yeah, and I hope the community heals and understands that some differences aren't really there. It's just in their heads. Anyhow, thank you, Corp, for coming on and speaking with me and answering some of the questions. If you want to
Appreciate
plug
you having
anything,
me.
if you have anything to plug yourself in again, everything from you is going to be in the description.
Appreciate you. Just look me up, Cozy Cove. I make videos here and there. That's about it.
Amazing building, by the way. If you want inspiration, he's the guy. I mean, he
Thank
is.
you. Thank you.
He's the guy. Might as well. Yeah.
We'll be there one day. One
Yeah.
day.
Hey, this is Gremlingo. I stream on Twitch. I am a bit of a variety streamer, but do a ton of vintage stories stuff. Also, I do a bunch of shorts on YouTube and TikTok and all the usual places. I'd say my main game for the longest time here has been Vintage Story and similar ones like it, survival crafters.
So I got you in this call today to answer some questions because I know the community can be very butthurt by any opinion, good or bad, and I have questions that I feel like would be good to hear from different people than just myself. The first one I'm gonna lay upon you is how did you get into Vintage Story? How did you knew that the game exists?
I believe I was just scrolling through my YouTube recommended, and there was this one like Minecraft YouTuber that I used to watch like I want to say like 15 years ago.
Damn.
Uh, yeah. His name was Paul Sawyer's Jr. He used to do like almost like Man vs Wild type of Minecraft videos. And he started playing Vintage Story and kind of doing the same thing again. I was like, wow, I haven't seen this guy in ages. So I clicked on the video and saw the game. And then I just kind of went from there. I picked it up and joined some communities and played on my own and then decided to record some stuff.
So before, like, so people kind of get how many hours you would think you have in the game as of now.
Oh, jeez. Everything from playing the game to mod testing to world editing. I gotta have at least coming up on 1,000 at least.
Damn. So for everybody who's gonna shit on his opinions, I feel like he's pretty entitled to have some opinions because he has a decent amount of hours in the game. Okay. Next question I would ask you: what would you like to see added in Vintage Story? We're not gonna count this upcoming update because we already know what's gonna be added. So, what you
Yeah.
think would be something you would like to see in the game?
I'd really like to see some more of an emphasis on collaborative gameplay. Certain things that benefit well from gaming with your friends, like if I need to be specific, like crop rotations
Mhm.
or making food preservation a little more difficult, or making it so that people working together and kind of honing their skills in specific areas actually offers a benefit rather than just somebody being able to make a shack out in the middle of nowhere and kind of do it all themselves. I would like to see community building together actually, have a benefit and actually have gameplay ramifications. They do a great job making, realism and aesthetics also improve gameplay. But I just think leaning more into that with the multiplayer side of things, because we've seen Vintage Story explode with multiplayer popularity. I don't think it's quite as single player focused as it maybe was a year ago.
I can agree on that. I feel like there's a big thing with classes when we even played in Beaver's first civilization event, where I feel like some classes in the base game. I think we used a mod there, but that's why we used
Mhm.
the mod because the vanilla ones are the only really good one is the malefactor or the hunter because everything else like the black card is such a huge backdraw that you get the 30% with where I don't think
Yeah.
for multiplayer that's really it can
No.
be a big downside. You have a little bit damage buff, but that's about it. What you get from picking those classes.
Granted, though, to play devil's advocate there, um, the Blackguard was the most popular class because since there was PvP, having that damage bonus was great.
True.
But in a normal kind of play with your friends or community server, okay, cool. So you kill a wolf in 3 hits instead of 4, like it doesn't really make a difference.
That is true.
But I also think just adding more mechanics. Like I don't even think necessarily changing the classes would do what I'm talking about. I think even changing mechanics of things
We're
or
gonna
adding new mechanics, making things more in depth, like how they're doing with the smithing. Now that there's quenching and sharpening and all that other stuff in smithing, it's a lot more in depth. So I think adding that to farming, adding that to food making, adding that to animal husbandry, like would increase the depth of the game to the point where you teaming up with your friends is a lot more beneficial.
we're gonna get into the negatives, how the community would like to say. I think everything you say or I say is negative to them, but hey, we both couldn't give a fuck. At least I couldn't.
Well, everyone knows if there's one thing you cannot have on the internet, it's an opinion.
True. That's why this is the segment that I chose to do, so people do understand that people can have and will have different opinions on certain
Yeah.
things. And to
And
that,
honestly, well, I was just gonna say honestly, when push comes to shove, we just need to realize we're all on the same page. We all love the game. We all want what's best for the game.
that is true.
There's no harm criticizing it to try to make it as good as it can be.
I'm gonna ask, what do you like about this upcoming update? Some either specific things that changed or they added. What is something that you really like about the update coming up?
I'd say the two biggest things, for me at least, is the smithing update, the smithing stuff. I think adding more in-depth mechanics like that is a massive boon to the game. I think as much as people, okay, I'm gonna say the forbidden word here, okay? As much as people compare it to Minecraft,
Yeah, we're gonna
I
get
think it
into
is
that.
very I think it is very different in the way that the goal and the objective of the game is very different. Where, Minecraft's a lot more of a sandbox. I think this is a lot more of like a, I don't want to say survival simulator, but it's a bit more of a hardcore survival game, right? Surviving is the thing you're supposed to do. So I think adding in more in-depth mechanics, like what they're doing with the smithing, is like they just can't go wrong with it. They have that specific audience that enjoys that type of thing. Like just from the mods that we see added to the community server, where people want more ways to make food, more ways to smith weapons, more mechanical things. Like they just want more in-depth mechanics, and I think that's what they're doing with the smithing stuff with the new update. And I think that's a perfect avenue that they're going down.
Perfect. One thing I'm gonna touch before we go to the negative.
Hmm.
I like I said with Korb before, I don't really understand the stigma around, or like I saw a few YouTube titles going around like, oh, this game changed how I play Minecraft, or I blah blah blah.
Hmm.
How I feel like since I played Minecraft since I was very young, you just evolve from a kid to a teen and then to an adult, where you seek something more than just Minecraft has to offer. Even with mods, you just seek something more. That's why comparing those two is not really a thing. Also, people need to understand how Vintage Story came to be is just from being a Minecraft mod and being
Yeah.
limited because of the engine that it was running on. So the whole stigma saying the other block game or any other fucking names just not to say Minecraft is pretty dumb, in my
Well,
opinion.
I genuinely think it comes from a spot of like I know like when I was trying to get my friends into Vintage Story at first, um, every single one of them said the exact same thing, which was, "Wow, this looks like Minecraft." So I think part of it comes from there, where it's like people trying to get their friends into it, and all their friends can see is Minecraft. I think it like
Hmm.
breaks a part of someone's brain where they're like,
I mean,
because it's hard to describe why it's not Minecraft sometimes. To
but
someone who's never played Vintage Story, it's hard to describe why it's different.
it's also like it's not really per se Minecraft's fault why every other block game will be compared to that game. The same people who like Hytale, blah blah blah. Hytale also is just because of Minecraft. There's nothing a bad thing that
Yeah.
a game came from another game. comparing like the recent stuff with Crimson Desert, that it has a mix of different things with different games, and comparing it, they're fundamentally different games. If they are in any sort of way connected or similar, it's not a bad thing at all. I don't think there's games coming out where it completely different systems, something completely unique. Maybe there's once a game every few years that has actually something different that no other game did before.
Yeah. It's like getting mad at Baldur's Gate because it's too much like D&D. They're spawned from the same, they're cut from the same cloth.
Yeah.
So they're different, but they are very similar, and that's for a reason. That's not a bad thing.
True. I'm gonna ask another question for you that could be something that I think that this in this moment people can get really riled up, depending what you
Oh,
say.
controversy. Okay, perfect.
What you don't like in Winter Story? What is something that bothers you, or mechanics, or whatever in between that makes you feel a certain way?
Hmm.
Because I know there's plenty. There's plenty, and people can voice it about practically anything.
Yeah. I'm gonna preface this with I don't have a solution to my complaint at the moment. It's not like I'm gonna sit here and say they should do this because I'm not sure what would fix my issue. But I remember when I first played the game, seeing my first rift was like, holy shit, what the fuck is that? Oh my god. The first temporal storm like blew my mind. I was like, oh my god, the world's ending. What's going on? After, even just 12 hours of playing the game, the drifters and the shivers and especially the portals spawning enemies all the time, they became less scary and less of like holy shit and more of just a nuisance. And I think that is emphasized with the lack of polish that the combat system has.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm crossing my fingers. I think the combat system is the next thing they need to do a big look at. Because again, like I said, they go from being scary to just a nuisance, especially with armor and things like that. Like they're not scary. Don't get me wrong, when you're getting your butt cheeks chased by a shiver in a ruin, holy fuck. Like yeah, still not great, but especially like with the portals on the surface that just spawn dudes just all the time, it's just becomes annoying. It becomes an obstacle. Um it becomes a nuisance rather than an actual thing to overcome.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. The whole combat system doesn't really make sense when you can have the best tier of armor with the best weapon, so everything is steel, and it takes significant amounts of hits to kill something that is, let's say, about tier 4 or 5. And you still can get thrown around like a bitch, because if you encounter a bell shiver, then you know you're GG's. Because even
Yeah.
though you have a good armor and everything, you don't really still stand a chance somehow.
Yeah. And see, I don't even know if this is a good idea. This is just off the top of my head. Um, what might make things a little more interesting is like toning back the portals, because just having a portal spawn in the middle of your house, it just sucks. There's no fun to that, and also it kind of breaks the immersion a little bit. You're telling me that temporal portal just spawned in the middle of my farm? Like, come on, man. But what they could do, and again, I don't know the logistics behind any of this, but if you've ever played Valheim, you know the raids that they have?
I didn't play personally Valheim, no.
So in Valheim, as you complete different bosses and go to different regions, there is a chance that you'll get a message when you're at your base. It doesn't happen without you. If you're off in the middle of nowhere, it's not going to just happen while you're gone.
Mhm.
It'll happen while you're at home. And it'll be like, oh, the ground rumbles. And it'll spawn 2 trolls that'll attack your base. Like, their goal is to fuck up your base.
Yeah.
I could see something like that being interesting, especially like if you hit certain checkpoints in the game. Like maybe if you just spawned, nothing happens. But like the moment you kill the Eidolon, then some of them can happen. And then And then when you go to Nadia or meet Tobias, then another one can happen. And then maybe after you kill the final boss, the big bird, the worst kind of raid can happen. Or maybe the raids stop because you beat the boss. I don't know, but I think it would be really cool to have waves of enemies attack your base, and it would increase. How do I say this? It would incentivize you creating defenses and walls
Hmm.
and things like that, right? People make castles in this game for fun, so let's make a use of them.
I mean, I know there is a setting where after you spawn, there's like a grace period where after 14 in-game days, I think the first portals or the first storm or whatever forms. But
Right.
I feel like it's for me personally, because I play without the stability and without like, I don't see a big reason to play with it. You go to the cave, you there for I don't know 30 minutes and you're going insane. So you don't even get so much off just caving because you can get thrown around because there's just shit spawning everywhere. If you're just
Yeah.
farming for something like saltpeter, it's not really worth it. And like you said, you having your home, you base everything, and then suddenly you go front door and there's a fucking like 3 rifts. But why?
Yeah.
I think maybe there's something more connected to the lore. I'm not really into that lore of Vintage Story. I know maybe there's some explanations how and what, and they can adjust it. I believe they said it in the one interview that they did. I forgot the name. Major some I don't know that right now.
Hmm.
I think there's few mechanics that they could improve. But I feel like there's from so many mechanics they can just revisit them and look at them, like food and alcohol. I feel like in a single player, um, you don't really need to do so many mechanics like doing alcohol vodka doesn't bring anything. The effect system would be nice. I know they postpone it for the next 1.23, I believe, but there's no much like you cooking, for example, doesn't really bring you much. You can just make meat pies and you're good, or maybe add
Yeah.
something. Doesn't really bring you anything. Just putting those hours into the kitchen, unless you're using any mods that may grind you a buff or something.
No, I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
I completely forgot what I asked the last question, but eh.
I
I feel like
went on a little bit of a tangent.
no, it's good. It's good that you say how you feel about it. What is something that you don't like about the new update coming up?
Something I don't like about the new update.
Or you even say despise that they changed it or implemented it, whatever.
That's a good question, actually.
Because there are hot takes with people saying with the flax debuff that you gain less with the what is it called, the windmills and stuff like that.
Oh, I love that. I love it. Genuinely, nothing annoyed me more than like logging into a server and seeing a light speed windmill that's just like 78 dirt blocks stacked on top of each other in the middle of the sky. Nothing annoyed me more. Um what am I personally annoyed about? It's not I wouldn't say I'm annoyed by this. It's more of a concern. It's a worry that I have. That and this is coming from somebody who hasn't played the snapshot. I'm waiting for it to come out.
Same.
I haven't touched it, so forgive me if this has already been addressed or I'm misunderstanding how it works. I'm worried that the tempering and the sharpening and all that type of stuff can turn weapons make them very OP. It's just a concern that I have that I'm like, ooh, I know there's a break chance whenever you quench and temper stuff, but if you get lucky, can you make a steel Falx with like triple the durability? If you sharpen it a bunch, can you make it so it has, it does double the damage? I don't know. And that's something I'm worried about.
I mean, I didn't even play it. I maybe tested the first or second candidate, so I don't really know how really that works. I feel like people in the comments will know better and how the specific things work.
Mhm.
I mean, the only thing that I would personally say about the update is the berry bushes, but not so in the late game because there's no really a reason for you to have berry bushes unless you're making pies, and in that time you already have a fruit tree, because it's at this point how they change it is much convenient for you to wait a year or so to have
Yeah.
hella fruit. And I just feel like that was kind of unnecessary. I kind of get why, but in the early game you will not bother for, like, let's say the first year or two to get bushes going, because again the food and
I
stuff really doesn't matter to you.
Yeah, I understand though why they did it, because I've seen it countless times where somebody spawns into a server and their very first thing is to fill their entire inventory with as many bushes as possible, and then they just spam them in rows right outside their house, and
Hmm.
they don't really have to worry about food ever again.
Well, they do spoil fast, so it's not like you.
They do, but if you just keep them on the bush and you eat them when you need them, it trivializes a lot of food um production at the start of the game. So I'm not saying I 100% agree with it. It's not something I would have changed. I just at least can see the thought process.
The vision.
Yeah. Now I'm going a little bit off track here. This is gonna be a hot take. Okay.
Come on, that's what we're here for.
Tongs, love them, great, fantastic. Couldn't be happier.
True. I feel like that's
I I
amazing.
I love the tongs.
I believe there was a mod that was widely used before, metal tongs. I believe y'all had it on the community server before.
We had it on the community server for about a week, and then everyone complained so hard that we removed it.
Yeah, but it's if we going off realism, which the game aims for most of the time. Um,
Hmm.
if I go 4 years in game or 5 years with 2 sticks and a fucking rope that has for some reason 50 durability, I believe, and durability goes never down, nothing happens to it, and I can just pick up 1,000 or I don't know 1,100 Celsius hot shit without that shit burning in my hand. I don't believe
Right.
that is something that was a good. I think what they did is massive. That is how it should be. And it just makes it a little bit more harder as it should, because smithing is not an easy thing in real life. It takes skill, and it takes also with the tempering and the clay and all that stuff, it takes skill, not just to sit there for I don't know how many hours to just going through iron blooms and doing it like nothing ever happens. Like, it made a little bit harder for me. And I know people had also disagreed with the bellows, like, oh, this is extra. Now it's a little bit harder and more annoying. Like, honestly, you know how Vintage Story is. Nothing is easy in the game. Even the simplest task that you do are, in grand scheme of things, are not that easy, because it always leads to something. Like, you want the best backpacks. It is a whole process you need to go through and engage with different mechanics, bee farming and all that good stuff, and mining.
Yeah, because like I believe a core element of the game is realism. As much as you might not have to drink. There's not like a thirst meter or anything like that. They are heavily inspired by real life processes, medieval processes. And I think that's great. I think having it more realistic the better. To an extent, obviously.
Gonna ask you the final question. What do you think that a Vintage Story should become? Or do you have any message to the devs or the community?
That's a good question. I think what should it become?
Let's start with that part of the question. What do you think Vintage Story as a game should become? Like, should they
I th-
listen more to the community? Should they stick with what they see fit and the vision, what they have, in the studio, what they think the game should become because of them or the community?
Hmm. I think that type of thing is a very fine balance, because no one dev team is gonna have all the good ideas in the world. Um, I think they should stay true to their vision, stay true to their concept, stay true to the spirit of Vintage Story, but also realize that the players are what is keeping it alive. The players are what drive it forward, and the players are the ones that spend hours upon hours upon hours a day playing your game. I think it's at least the attitude that I would attempt to have if I was a part of the team is stay true to my vision, but also listen to the community and take what they say with a grain of salt. I do think that they should recognize Vintage Story is very quickly moving away from being a single player game and going into a multiplayer game.
I
And I
agree.
think if they realize that and lean into it, work on some optimizations for multiplayer servers, especially really big ones. Lean into like what we talked about before, mechanics where multiple characters can work together to optimize processes. I think if they lean into that type of thing, I think no one's going to be upset about that. Nobody is going to have a problem with that. I think it'll be an overall boon to the game.
And what would you say to the devs if they were ever listening? What would you say to them?
You guys are doing great. Keep on what you're doing. Definitely take a good hard look at the multiplayer. The fact that like the choices you guys made with the ease of modding is fantastic. But now take a look at the collaboration and the teamwork aspects of the game.
And anything final to say to the community, with both know can be sometimes good, sometimes bad. Do you have any final words to say to them?
This is a fun, chill block game. No need to get upset. No need to get all, amped up about nothing. We all love the game. We're all on the same team here. If you don't like it, they made modding easy for a reason.
True. Okay, that was fantastic answers I got from you. Anything you want to plug by yourself or anything else?
No, just follow me on Twitch. I stream multiple days a week. Just pop it and say hi if you like Vintage Story or any games like that. I'll be playing things similar. Sometimes I'll pull out Apex out of some random left field.
If you made it to this point of the video, little channel update. I've been working on a new job, so I don't have much time playing Vintage Story. I also have been waiting for the new version to drop. There's some stuff going behind the scenes. Maybe the new series gonna be multiplayer. I don't know as of now. Maybe there's gonna be stuff going on that's gonna be exciting for many people. Only thing I could say that the new series may be Lord of the Rings themed, which I had in my mind for a couple of months now. But again, we will see when it happens. Very excited to play the game again when the new version releases. And this is one of the reasons where I don't upload anymore, or I don't play Vintage Story as of now. I kind of got burnt out just because I'm just really pumped up for the new version to drop and to try out the new mechanics and stuff and see what the new update is all about, because I'm trying to distance myself what's going on, and I didn't play the release candidate, so when I play it, it's gonna be fresh and I'll be flabbergasted as you are watching me do something new. And for everybody who supported me till now, I really appreciate you. I hope you know you're the OG who got me where I am right now, and I hope we gonna have a lot of memories together. If you want to connect with me, text with me, anything, ask of me. The link to my Discord is in the description. You can chat whenever with me. I try to reply whenever I can. And yeah, be on the lookout when the new version releases. There's gonna be new content coming, hopefully. And yeah, see you in the next video. Stream, we will see. Bye bye.